I spent my entire 20s getting my bachelor's, getting my master's, ascending from company to company. And when I achieved essentially a high level, at the end of the day, I felt empty. I felt like I had so much more potential to give. And then I found this beautiful book and it opened my eyes to financial freedom.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of SlumDogg Millionaires. Today, we have a really special guest, Andrew Freed. He is all about the multifamily world, similar to Desiree. So we are so excited to talk to you and just dig in your brain on how this all works and how you did it and how you became successful. So welcome, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, of course. So we wanted to start out just by starting from stage one. How did you get into multifamily? How did you start this journey? What made you get into real estate investments and then also getting into multifamily?
So it all started by going after the American dream, getting a good education, getting a good job, getting a swanky condo in the city, making six figures, working at the Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard as a project manager. I quote unquote did it all. I spent my entire 20s doing that, getting my bachelor's, getting my master's, ascending from company to company. And when I achieved essentially a high level, at the end of the day, I felt empty. I felt like I had so much more potential to give. And at that point, I was really escaping into vices, escaping in the video game, I was escaping in the weed, I was escaping in the women, I was escaping in anything to take my mind off my dreams. And then I found this beautiful book when I ran out of vices right during COVID, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it opened my eyes to financial freedom. It opened my eyes to real estate investing. And that's when I really got started in multifamily investing.
So when you were working at the other companies, you were working in property management?
Project management. I'm a certified project
you were
manager.
Working at corporate job.
Yes, yeah, I was a grant
Project
manager.
management, okay.
Yeah, I was a grant manager.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, so that makes a nice transition, at least for you, because it's similar aspects of each of the topics.
You're so right. It's exactly the same. So honestly, the most successful investors in my mind are really good, not project managers, portfolio managers. And what portfolio managers are is they manage a subset of a bunch of project managers. And that's exactly what I did in this job. I had a subset of research labs that I managed their financial components of all of their grants. And I essentially had mini businesses. And that's essentially what I do right now with my 50, 60, 70 assets. They're all just mini projects. And me as the portfolio manager, the asset manager, ensures that they run in accordance with the business plan.
Yeah, and we
That's so
love
true.
that you got to make your own company, Freedom Management. I love the name that you picked. What inspired you to name your company that?
So one thing I do want to mention is funny. It's a little bit of an oxymoron. If you really think of freedom management, how are you freed if you're managed, right? But ultimately, the real reason why I did it was I have a good last name. I was thankfully born with a great last name, so I wanted to incorporate it. And all of my studies in getting my bachelor's, getting my master's in the workplace has always been associated with management. So it just went hand in hand.
That's so true. When I saw the name, I was wondering, I'm like, he had to have gotten that from his last name because it's perfect. It goes hand in hand.
Yeah, and that's where we got our name for our SlumDogg, my last name, Dog It. So we did a play on words there. So that's fun. Yeah. We appreciate you doing that for sure. So I have been very excited about this interview, mainly because you start at the beginning, you don't know how to scale, it gets messy, it gets complicated. Can you walk us through how you can really scale the property management business in a way that does not break your brain or your life? Like you're saying, like you get stuck in that hole where you just want to escape from it because it's so intense. Every day, there's always problems, it never ends, you never get a break, you can't turn it off. So I am so excited to hear from you tips and tricks on how to make that better.
But actually, I would also like for you to brag about yourself a little bit and tell us, like, how big are you? You know, go into your number counts and just, what Desiree said, how do you do it?
So currently I have about 90 million assets under management. I have ownership in around 550 rental units. I syndicate, I joint venture, and I own the property management company, and we are completely vertically integrated. We have maintenance techs, we have painters in-house, we have a bunch of virtual assistants. We have upwards of about 25 employees, right? But you asked how I did it. That more or less the real way I did it was I constantly was leveling up. At different stages in my development, I realized I was at a barrier. I sought advice from people who were 1, 3, 5 years ahead of me, and I asked them what did they do to get over that barrier, and I implemented their advice to a T. The thing about books, the thing about learning is it's great to learn, but ultimately if you're not implementing anything, it means absolutely nothing. Right? You could read Rich Dad Poor Dad and implement that whole book and be a millionaire. You could read 150 books, implement nothing, and not be a millionaire, right? So I think that's been really my secret sauce, is just keep surrounding myself around other experts and taking their advice and implementing it.
Love that. Special sauce.
Yeah, special sauce. I know, but it really is. And honestly, that's one of the reasons that we decided to do our podcast, is we know so many incredibly smart people, wealthy people, who know how to do it, but they're just afraid to start. And it's just like you said, they know the steps, they're just not implementing them. So, and I think a lot of that comes from fear, but then also maybe just...
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree. I think it 100% comes from fear. I think it 100% comes from the fact that they don't have the confidence to move forward in the business, because ultimately we're all business owners. We know, like, we know that at the end of the day, we're gonna have a million issues coming our way. We don't know the solution, but we know we're gonna figure it out, right? You just have to have the confidence in your ability to make it happen, right? And some people, like you said, have to get over that internal fear, maybe childhood trauma, things like that, to get over that fear, where they do have the confidence to take the leap.
Yeah, no, it's all about the confidence, I think. And definitely when they're making that first step, like, you had the confidence after you read that book that you're like, I can do this. And I think a lot of people lack that, or maybe it's support, that they don't come from a real estate background, which I know all of us didn't. And so it's just really cool to talk to someone who, like you said, you read the book and then you just went with it and you just grew and implemented everything you learned. And it's just amazing to sit and talk to someone who has grown so rapidly and is so successful in it. So it's really cool.
Yeah, thank you. Ultimately, like, going into this, I think my goal was to house hack 10 multis in 10 years, have 30 units right off into the sunset. That was my goal. I didn't plan this going into it, but when you feel momentum and you feel that growth, the key, I think is like, the key is to lean into it and not run away from it, right?
You almost get addicted to the growth.
Yeah, addicted to the game.
Yeah, we always talk about, will we ever retire? We don't know, because it is addictive. It's, oh man, I got to my goal. Now what can I do? And it's just, you're helping people along the way too. So it's like, why not keep going?
Totally. Yeah, I think.
So hindsight being 2020. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to your point, all of us are workaholics. I could not imagine, like, sleeping on a beach somewhere, like, just drinking mojitos for weeks on end. That would literally kill me, right? But I think one thing that I've really done is, like you, I'm workaholic, but I like to travel. So I'll travel to Peru or Europe or what. And I'm still gonna work, but I might as well work in a beautiful environment, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. So you're totally living the dream. So with hindsight being 2020, what is something that you wish you would have implemented a lot earlier on in your property management career to save yourself a lot of headache and heartache?
So I think this is really tactical advice, but what, based off my experience, is that there's two things when it comes to property management. First of all, I think the key when starting a property management company is, obviously you want efficiency, obviously you want it to, your businesses, your property to run very well, but your main thing as when you're self-managing is to buy back your time. Ultimately, you need to get the systems, the people, the processes in place where you could spend your time buying deals, you could spend your time selling deals, you could spend your time in the dollar per hour tasks, $200 to $500 per hour, and not spend your time on $20 per hour tasks, talking with tenants, reconciling charges, collecting rents via Appfolio. Like, all of that stuff can be delegated to buy back your time. I think that's number one, right? So the key to property management is not making money, it's to buy back your time so you can make money in higher leverage activities. The other technical piece of advice I would give is, you don't make money on the property management fee, 6 to 10%. It literally just covers your overhead. What you really make money on is the Billbacks, right? You're talking bringing maintenance in-house, bringing painters in-house, charging the project for those hourly wages at $5, $10 delta per hour. And a lot of times it's cheaper than if you hired a third party, but simultaneously you're supporting the overhead of your property management company, because ultimately it's not a high profit, it's not a high margin business. It really isn't.
I appreciate you bringing that part of it up, because I also think that people forget that there are other ways to make money in property management as well. Like you just talked about, bringing people on, and it's, you can bring on your own workers, and it's cheaper for not only the owner, but then you can also make a little money on it too. So it's helping not only yourself, but also your owners, which is awesome.
Yeah, no matter what, you're managing the project anyways.
Exactly,
You might
yeah,
as well
it's getting
pay
done.
yourself a little bit of something.
Totally. But I love the fact that I own my property management company because I'm the property manager, but simultaneously I'm the asset manager, right? And property management companies intrinsically alone, our incentives are not aligned. Property management companies' incentive is to make the most money possible off of you, and your incentive as investors is to make the most profitable property. Your incentives are literally counterintuitive, right? So the reason why I love my property management company is our incentives are aligned. A lot of times I am running a break-even company on the property management side, so my investments flourish.
Nice. Yeah, that is really a key factor of
Yes.
what we've been talking about and how to scale and what things are important. So all of these are amazing topics and amazing tidbits to give us. I wanted to ask you also, how do you push back on owners when they are trying to like so lowball you on your commissions and stuff like that? Do you just tell them like take a hike, this is not a good fit? Or do you just show them your value by giving them real life examples? Or how do you push back on that? Because I feel like a lot of the bigger investors are extremely savvy and they just want to lowball you to the ground, but you can't because your work is so valuable and the time you spend, again, your time is your best asset. So how do you push back on that?
Totally, totally. You bring all really good points up. Ultimately, I play more in the commercial space. I play more in the 5+ unit to maybe 30, 40, 50 unit properties. And in that space, it's less so about the price. It's more so about your ability to close, right? And if you show as a buyer, you have an extremely high probability of closing, a very high success rate. You're talking 90, 95, 100% success rate. They're not going to flinch when you build in a commission, right? And as an investor, I highly recommend every person here, if you're an agent, you absolutely build in a commission on your own deals, even commercial deals. You'd be surprised. I've literally got 2% on $5 million commercial deals that they had no right in approving it. I was literally the buyer, but they approved the commission and I got paid.
Yeah, I mean, we talk
Exactly.
about that all the
Yes.
time. We're like, that is made up money
Right.
that we didn't have, but we magically have it because we're in the industry and it makes such a difference. Absolutely.
And we are working the deal.
Yeah, we're still doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love that.
Totally, yeah. To answer your original question, it all goes down to motivation of the seller, right? Ultimately, their main motivation, residential, is they want the highest price. So if you could grab at that string and pull that string and say, hey, you're paying a higher commission, but hey, I have these 10 listings, the last 10 listings, I got 10 to 20% over list. I have a history of making you more money. Yeah, you're paying a little extra commission, but you're going to get a larger end price at the end of the day. That's how I would approach it from a residential standpoint.
So one of the key aspects that we do have on our podcast each time with each guest is our tagline is survive, thrive, and hopefully retire by 45, which looks like you're under that window. And you already have a 50 door count.
Yeah.
Do you have an actual door count, an amount that would push you into retirement? And if you were retired, what would we see you doing?
I am far over my door count. I have 550 rental units. That's an obscene amount of units. Just if I didn't have my team, I would not be able to manage this amount of units. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I am financially free. I am living in my purpose. We all love doing what we're good at, and I am really good at multifamily investing. My partner, Zach Gray, is very good at multifamily investing. We make a fantastic team. So, I do it because it's fun. I don't do it because I want to make money or because I need to make money. But to answer your question,
But
do
you're
I have...
doing what you love already.
Yeah, I am doing what I love already. Yes, yeah, totally.
I love that. So one of my other huge pet peeves about multifamily management is all of the inter-tenant drama. So obnoxious. So if you want to give us some tips and tricks of how to deal with the adult glorified babysitting aspect of the business, we would gladly appreciate those as well.
Or any
Sure.
really good, funny stories you have.
Totally. Ultimately, you got to treat it like a business, right? You can't get involved in the drama. You just got to tell them how it is. Rent's due here. The house rules are this. If they don't follow the rules, you give the notice to them. You send it to the eviction attorney. You treat it like a business, right? Ultimately, I think that the low-level investor gets pulled into the drama to think they could act as the therapist in resolving this tenant drama. It ain't your fucking job. Sorry. It ain't your job. It ain't your job to do that. It's your job to give them a good place to live. It's your job to to give them a safe place to live and address any issues in a timely manner, right? And it's their job to pay on time and treat the unit right. As long as that dynamic happens, that's where I get myself involved.
Absolutely.
It's so true. I always constantly have to tell tenants and owners that it's like this is what it says in the lease that you signed. This is the way that this is going to be handled. If you're late on your rent, this is what's going to happen. And they're always like, oh, I didn't see that in there. And no, it's in writing and you signed it and it's there and that is the way it's going to be handled.
Exactly. You can't argue with a signed contract, right? If they signed it, what are they going to say?
Exactly. So I was watching your podcast a couple days ago, which is awesome, by the way. You do an awesome job. We're still getting the groove of it. But I saw that you were talking something about building an ecosystem rather than just building a business, a building count. Can you explain what that means?
Absolutely. A lot of people, when they think of building an opportunity, they think of building one bridge, right? But I like to build a bridge that leads to multiple end paths, multiple directions, right? So say, for example, my real estate meetup. I started my real estate meetup. It helped grow my investor-focused business, right? It also brought me deal flow, established me as a subject matter expert, helped me raise capital, right? And it also offered me social media content when I provided recorded content. I provided content for my virtual assistant to cut up and enhance my social media brand. It created 5 bridges just from one activity, right? So if you can leverage one activity to create simultaneous bridges, you'd be surprised at the synergy that creates, and it creates quite the community, right? Because then I have this meetup, right? Then deal flow starts happening in the room. People start investing in deals. It creates an entire community, and it creates an entire community that people can really lean into.
Fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. The other main item that we were looking at that you discuss a lot and things like this. So for our listeners, we're really trying to break it down, make it simpler, and give them tools to be able to insert themselves into this business. So there are so many different creative ways to structure deals, to creative financing options, things like this. So can you tell us a little bit more about that and maybe some strategies that really helped you level up?
Totally. So the thing about capital allocators, the thing about investors is nobody teaches us how to design deals. A lot of these deals are self-taught and iterated over time, right? So I just want to put that up front. Structures I've used when I first started, I'm not using now, right?
Right.
Typically, I raise money from investors to take down units. Ultimately, I could not have got up to 550 rental units without my own cash, right? I did it with other investors' money. But typically, I'll structure deals a multitude of ways. I might structure it via a syndication model, where I raise money from passive investors to take down a larger asset. Typically, that has to be a $2, $3, $4 million asset because the cost of syndications, which you have to hire an attorney, you have to file paperwork, it's very expensive. It's 20 to 25 grand. It's very high sunk cost, but it allows you to get access to more money, right? Larger sums of money, right? Maybe for a smaller deal, I might take it down with just a joint venture structure where investors will just buy into an LLC with me. I typically offer some sort of pref, some sort of equity split, and I try to offer them a 12, 13, 14% return on their money at the end of the day. So I've done that structure with really deep value add where there's a lot of equity to be made. Those type of properties I'll probably take down with hard money and promissory notes, and then plan to refi out 9 to 12 months when the project is done, when it's stabilized, because there's the equity in there to refi all of your capital and essentially get a free property. I've done that a multitude of times. I literally got a 5-unit, no cash out of pocket, $8,200 at closing table because I bought it with such good equity. So those are some typical strategies I would recommend for some beginner level investors.
Absolutely, and I see, again, many of my clients do very similar structures and things like that. So it's definitely it's successful, so you can use those tools for sure. Again, on our podcast, we have another tradition, which is we're really into giving back to community and giving time to mention a special charity that's maybe near and dear to your heart, so we can give it shed light on it, and then also you can give us an ask that we would fulfill for a specific charity that you would have in mind, if you have anything in mind.
I think Matt King, the CEO of GoBundance, and part of this mastermind GoBundance, he's riding across America and raising $1 million for underserved families. Really, and he's going along the way, meeting families and giving them money, giving them gifts to help them through their troubles. It's a very inspiring story. I think that would be probably the charity I would like to recommend.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we will definitely follow up with a film video for you and our listeners. That's one of our favorite parts of our podcast, and having our families participate in that. So we will definitely hook you up with that as well.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Are there any other advice or just tidbit that you would give to someone who is thinking about getting into the multifamily investment world?
So, larger multifamily is a team sport. If you think you're gonna do it alone, like, good luck. It ain't gonna happen, right? And I think understanding that up front is key, right? And then finding your team, finding out what you're a genius in, what you're not a genius in, and finding the other people who are geniuses in the areas where you're weak will create a all-star team where you can actually take down a larger asset, right? I think that's the key to taking down these larger deals. Ultimately, I could not have done what I did without my partners, without my capital partners, without my operation partners, without key principals. There's a multitude of partners I could have not done this with without us acting as a team and us acting in unison.
It's so true. We talk about all the time how important our team is and how important just your support system is. It really just helps you grow so much when you have the right people around you and you're partnering with the right people. So that's awesome that you say that.
Yeah, I couldn't function without my team for sure. I love them so much. And then the other interesting thing that we love to share, and this is what many of our viewers come here to hear about, are all of a horror story or a crazy story or something off the wall that you still remember because it was so absolutely bonkers.
Oh man, I gotta pull out the rabbit hole.
I'm sure you have so many.
Pandora box.
It's literally a daily occurrence. I literally closed on 21 units yesterday when Sauk, Rhode Island. Funny thing is, it didn't always start at 21 units. It actually started at 28 units. But during the due diligence process, 7 units burned down. It was a portfolio. I think there were 4 or 5 properties. 7 units burned down, so suddenly it became a 21-unit portfolio.
Well, the numbers definitely changed on that sheet.
Yeah.
They did change, but we got a good deal.
So sad.
I think we paid 2.4 for 21 units. We put in $400,000 into it. And once we're done, the rent was going to be at like $38,000, so it should be worth around 3.5 to 3.8. So we got a pretty decent deal.
That is awesome.
How did they catch on fire? Just curious.
I think there was electrical issues, and like it's funny because counter to belief, as long as nobody gets hurt, because I hope. Hopefully nobody gets hurt in these fires.
Yeah, no,
right.
You actually make out on the insurance claims. A lot of times, like owners will like make more money in the insurance claim, get to keep the parcel, sell the parcel. It's like I've seen other owners bank off insurance claims.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah, it is very true.
So have you ever thought about investing in a market that's not yours or somewhere else? Is that your next move?
I would say that our genius lies in our operations, and ultimately it has to be within an hour outside of where we operate, where we kind of function, because I've tried out-of-state investing. I've tried using other property managers, and it just doesn't work. It ends in frustration and ends in the business plan not coming to the fruition to the level I think it should. So ultimately, I'm a control freak, and I need to have control.
Yeah, I think that's
I think that's the trait of a property manager.
I mean, you know,
characteristic.
right? Mr. Freed needing control. I'm a walking oxymoron. What can I say?
I love that. Yeah. This interview was fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm so happy we got to finally meet with you, and everything that you shared is so valuable, especially in the property management realm, and we absolutely respect, and again, it's a very thankless business that we're in. Everyone just has complaints for us, and not many people say anything nice to us. So we do want to thank you for what you do in your community, and thank you for being with us today. It's very enlightening.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. If you're ever in our area, feel free to come on down. So
Yeah.
bye to our
Andrew.
SlumDogg Millionaire
Yeah.
listeners.
Slum doggies.
SlumDoggies.
That's a wrap on another episode of SlumDogg Millionaires. If you're ready to turn dreams into dollars, smash that follow button and join us every week for more money moves and mindset magic. Don't forget to give back to your local community. Until next time, keep grinding, keep growing, and remember, your empire starts with one smart decision. Huge gratitude shout out to our production team at Icons of Real Estate.